I feel very good today to make this video. I was thinking to myself, because I was talking to one of my associates, and we were talking about the future as well as the present and how to bridge a gap. And I was just thinking to myself as I was about to walk to the car to make the video, how powerful that the wind is, how beautiful that the palm trees look in terms of that flow moving through them, that power, that energy. That energy is a reflection on a 24/7 force that is always around you, but definitely is within you. That if you do not think the right thoughts, you will reflect that thought. But it goes a little bit deeper than that. And that's why I know a lot of y'all haven't been listening to me. And that is, you got something called engrams. That's through L. Ron Hubbard's Scientology. But the book is called Dianetics. And so what happens is this. Hypothetically, how many thoughts can you think at once? How many times do you think in an hour? How many thoughts times that exponential number is contained within you, especially if it's faulty thought? I was just thinking to myself, I was talking to an associate of mine, and I said that everything ain't for everybody. And even though things are not going as fast as I would like them to, but there's a way to make it happen. But the main thing that I was thinking to myself, that I know this deep in my heart, is that once you are thinking at a certain level, you're vibrating at a certain level, and you connect properly, you can make changes in one day. I mean, like mega changes. And as long as you know it, it really doesn't matter, because nobody else knows. It's just like going to a dealer and either buying a dealership or going to purchase a car. You go to purchase a car. If you ever done this, when you are looking at the car, you sign off for the car. Everything gets delivered properly. When you drive off, you're by yourself with the car. Nobody was there with you when you drove off. That's how this is like. So it don't take 20 people to say, man, that's true. And my whole demonstration is, I told myself my life was so wicked and so messed up in terms of what was happening to me, and I didn't even understand it, especially when you're a little boy growing up. That I said to myself, I said, if I just get 2 to 4 years of just like love, just a beautiful life, I said I'd be happy with that. I'd be good. I'd be good, right? But then what I'm finding out is, if your life is anointed by the Lord, and you've been supposed to gone and you're not gone, that means you're here for a purpose, even if you don't know what that purpose is. Now, if you can wake up in your purpose, that changes things. It's almost like anybody who ever ran track, was in a competitive sport. But I'm gonna use track, right? Unless you just a chummy talking type dude, very rarely just before the race begin, you talking to the dude from the left or the dude from the right, unless you like a stupid beast, like you can talk and still get it done. But the average individual who, when they getting ready for the market set go with the gun that goes off, right, the starter pistol, all they doing is focusing on their strategy, what they're going to do, right? If we're talking about the 100 meters, generally as a rule, it's straight speed. If you're talking about indoor track, which is 60 meters, that's like, and that's what we're talking about. I don't want anybody on these videos to get it twisted, because if you get it twisted and putting a thumbs down, then you obviously do not know the creme de la creme. See what I'm saying? Because I'm living this. The only reason why I've been doing these is to make a record. Make a record. I ain't got to curse. I ain't got to talk bad about nobody. I ain't got to put nobody down. And what I'm talking about is how I am becoming who I am in many ways that many people would consider a, what do you call that? Like basically what most people would call retirement age, or most people would call like, yo, why you even trying age? Or most people would call it like, dog, you ain't woke up yet. See, but this waking up that I'm talking about is like on a level where I had to go through everything I went through to reach this level. That time in a cell, sitting on a cell bunk, and you're the only one in the cell. You're trying to reacclimate, and which presupposes you've been there before. And as you're lying in the bunk, right, it's cold, right, and you wake up 6 times in a day after you have napped, fully sleep, and you can tell what time it is because of the reflection and the shadow on the cell bars. If you've been through that, then you might understand. If you ain't never been through it, then you don't even know what I'm talking about. You're trying to rate something that you don't even know what you're even listening to. But this is what I'm saying, right? I've been through levels in terms of how you take thought to the next level and make that level manifest, right? I know what it's going to take it to the next level, but most importantly, when you have thought working for you that works 24/7. This is what people kill over. This is what ancient like secret societies keep in their rituals. You know what I mean? This was in the Library of Alexandria, the first and the second library. You know what I mean? It's crazy, right? Just like, for example, when it comes to like knowledge, right? Like people are so much into Jesus Christ, right? And let's say for a fact that he was the one. Well, if he was the one, then it says, who do you listen to? So my whole thing is like this. If Jesus left the knowledge and it's up to us to pick it up and therefore manifest within ourselves, then what are we waiting for? So really at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what somebody thinks about what I'm talking about, because the way I learn, this is how I learn. This is one aspect how I learn. I remember one time I was in a jail cell and my sister sent me a contract that Baltimore City Public Schools had just signed off on, that they were going to hire me as a special education teacher under the grandfather clause. And they had the amount that they was going to pay me. I was in. But I'm sitting on a jailhouse bunk looking at this. And it happened. See, so I'm not just talking about, so why is this important to me? Because what I'm saying is this here, right? To the listeners, we're in a race, right? I'm winning mine. Make no mistake about it. This is my race. Not yours, mine. I've won. And even if we was trying to compete mental, right? Really the kind of stuff I'm talking about, there's a movie, right? Where this guy, he has such power by his mind, he's able to get into somebody else's mind and crush their brain. That's the kind of time I'm on. So if you're trying to like go up against that, because see, the power works 24/7, is who can work the power the best. You see what I'm saying? You got to remember the science that I'm talking about, it's everywhere at once, all the time. How you access that? Because that's what kind of time I'm on. Everything was going toward that direction, whether I wanted to go to that direction or not. And now I don't have to be the enemy. I don't have to get caught up in foolishness. I don't have to get caught up in my exterior. I don't have to be caught up in trying to convince somebody. All I got to do is connect with primal source, which we call God, and wait. But in the meantime, ask to be directed. And that's where I'm going. You know what I'm saying? So if you listening to this and you really take this to heart, right? Then what I'm saying is this: the only thing that matters to me is being a plus, not necessarily to civil rights or the human rights, but the God rights. And the only one that can give you that right is God, and nobody can take it away from you. You know what I'm saying? See, because the way we was taught that there was only one begotten son. That means that there was only one son. That's not true. Because if your father is God, then that would make you, and you're his son, what that make you? A chimpanzee, a coyote, a ostrich, a rose, a rock? No, the son of God. You're a God too. You're just learning how to relearn who you are in a thing that we call a body. Because look here, check this out, right? I'm going to really learn how to break this down, if no more than for myself. Once I break it down for myself, all the other stuff that I be seeing around me is going to be like I'm a magnet and I'm pulling forth what they call paper clips. Through what? Frequency. They say all things are of one source, but what makes a baboon different than a chimpanzee is its frequency. No, I know. But at the end of the day, all I got to do is stay on point with what I'm doing. That's all I got to do. That's all I got to do. Stay on point with what I'm doing. And look, check this out. Let's say I'm 100% wrong. Anybody know about God knows about the one sheep that was led astray, right? So check this out, right? Listen to the logic of this. If you just a human being and you say, God, I do not know what I'm doing. I do not understand. I want to now find out who you are, what makes me who I am, and I would like you to guide and direct me. What'd you go get? So you as wrong as everybody else because you don't maintain everybody else's story? We all have our stories. That's what this is all about, right? And technically with my situation, it should be over. You know what I mean? My whole life was invested in the school system in terms of my tenure, my health benefits, the whole nine. People at my age do not start over. It's over for us. Unless something else kicks in that was always there. That's what this thing is all about. So get with that. Or stop the video. This is called the eternal presence. Perception of the indwelling presence is often difficult to come by. The formative years of your own spiritual experience were certainly not spent in such knowledge. So, at the end of the day, you may be asked if God exists and all the centuries would have seen him. And the response was, many people have. And as one guy said, who? And the other guy said, I for one. The guy said, you've seen God? He said, yeah. He said, what did he look like? He said, like everything. And the guy said, that means nothing. He says, no, It means a great deal to me. I look at you and I see God. Wherever my eye falls, I see God. He is as real to me as you are. More real, in fact, for he is changeless in the changing, the immutable, and ever-present spirit that inhabits all things. This is important. Unity versus separateness. Mental healing and creation of circumstance and form through thought may never be accomplished by him whose consciousness is one of separateness. But he who achieves the consciousness of the whole, the consciousness of God, may change form and circumstance and promote bodily healing through thought, for all things then will exist within him. This is the truth about Jesus. And he who shuts his eyes to the miracles of the man from Nazareth is blinding himself to the greatest truth which has ever been revealed to a searching and doubting world. For a man may walk upon the water, raise the dead, heal the sick, feed 5,000 with 7 loaves of bread, change water into wine, and appear and disappear at will. Such is the destiny of man that these things will one day be commonplace. Such is the destiny of man that one day there will be no necessity for form, for separateness, for differentiation in the mind of God. All will be one, complete unity, a self-conscious, universal mind. At this point, I beseech you not to isolate yourself in your room and attempt to move a chair by thought power, nor indeed to attempt to exert any of the powers of mind that your consciousness has not as yet grasped. You must understand at once that is not the impression of your will or your thought that will cause a chair to move without a physical force. It is only the final, all-encompassing consciousness, a oneness with the intelligence in which you and the chair both exist. This consciousness has been achieved already by a very few individuals on a very few occasions. There is good reason to believe that these individuals and occasions are on the increase. Certainly on the lower echelons of demonstration, such as the healing of the human body through mind power, there have been a multiplicity of authenticated and accurately recorded phenomenon, such as to remove all doubt of the supreme power of the universal subconscious mind. The secret doctrine. There is in existence today a body of esoteric teaching, which is aptly termed the secret doctrine, and which for many centuries has been in the keeping of small groups of studious men who have learned its tenets and passed it down largely by word of mouth through many allegorical texts exist in which it is described. This doctrine holds that the evolution of man will proceed through 7 principal races, and that we are now living under the great fifth, which began with the civilizations in Persia, Egypt, and the Orient. According to the doctrine, the first race of man was largely spiritual. The second began to take on form. The third produced a race of giants that inhabited the continent of Lemuria. The fourth inhabited the continent of Atlantis. And the fifth sought refuge in Europe, Asia, after the deluge, referred exoterically in the Bible in the allegory of Noah's Ark, to produce the materialistic age of today, from which man will revert again to spiritual unity through the sixth and seventh races. Those who attempt to substantiate this doctrine maintain that the continent of Lemuria existed in the South Pacific Ocean and offer as evidence the gigantic statues which can be found on Easter Island. These statues are between 27 and 30 feet high and show no evidence of having been built by scaffolding, but appear to have been molded by beings whose stature were approximately the same. As the Old Testament of the Bible says, in those days there were giants in the earth. So the adherents of the secret doctrine maintain that colossal beings inhabited the continent of Lemuria, which was swallowed into the sea during a great upheaval in which the earth reversed its poles, leaving nothing above the surface but Easter Island and an archipelago of volcanic rock extending from the Marquesas Islands to New Zealand. These same adherents maintain that the continent of Atlantis was the home of the fourth race of mankind, and that this continent existed in the Atlantic Ocean. Its easternmost part, where we find the Azores today, and extending